So let's dig in here, and we're going to start with communication. How many of you have had a conversation with someone that they are just not hearing you? Like you can just tell based on their body language, and their face, they're just not hearing you. And so then we make up this funny story that they must be hard of hearing. So we raise our voices, because if we speak louder, they'll definitely hear us then. And then if that's not working, maybe they use some version of sign language. So we start waving our arms all over because that'll help. And ultimately, you just end up feeling so enormously frustrated. And regardless of the fact that you are both speaking English, there is a dire need for an interpreter. I call this the interspecies communication barrier. And it's common, sadly, very common. How many of you have done a personality assessment of some version yourself? Great, excellent. How many of you have done a version of a personality assessment or something within a team? Okay, a little less. How many of you actually remember the results of your profile? Yes, even less. And how many of you use that information on a daily basis to be more effective in your communication with others? Right, that's about what I thought. Okay, no, don't worry, here's one. If you haven't put your hand up yet, this one might be for you. How many of you have that pieces of paper filed away in your desk under you for useless and unused? Okay, come on, that was a chance. If you didn't have your hand up, that was a chance for everybody. Unfortunately, this is what happens. Now, I need to be really clear that with this information comes great responsibility. So, we're going to take an oath. Okay, so everyone raise your right hand. Okay, so repeat after me, okay? I promise on my honor to use this information strictly on me, for me, and by me, and not go around telling other people what style they are, even if I know I'm right, especially my spouse. I cannot warn you enough. Now you've taken the oath. I have a lot of witnesses here. Please, please. When I do this with teams, I get them up and get moving. Like, we actually put like corners in the rooms. We put letters on the walls. We make countries, and we've got cultures, and we've got food and exports and imports and theme songs and skits. And at the end of this thing, it's the best part of my work. We are laughing so hard because it is the #1 fastest way to increase understanding, appreciation of diversity of styles, and it immediately depersonalizes conflict. All of a sudden, people do this and they go, oh my gosh, you're not intentionally trying to annoy me. You're not actually purposely trying to be daft. That's actually what you do. Okay, now I get it. Now I understand how I need to speak in your language so that you hear what I say, and that I don't think you're just intentionally, trying to be flaky or not pay attention or like be completely insubordinate. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, it goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, it goes to his heart. Communication styles and personality profiles are meant so that you can more powerfully and effectively communicate your message by learning to speak in other people's languages. Understand that communication profiles and assessments, it's not about a bunch of paper. It's not about words sitting that's now filed under you for useless. Communication is alive. It is a living, breathing thing in your office every day. Do you understand what communication in your team looks like? Because if you don't, you are part of the problem and not part of the solution. Let's talk about the F-bomb. So the F-bomb, probably one of the least understood, most poorly used tools in business relationships on a daily basis. And unfortunately, because people have such a poor experience, less than preferential, over time with the F-bomb, they usually do one of two things. They go on continually perpetuating crappy experiences because that's all they've learned and that's all they know. Or, and especially if you're Canadian, they just completely avoid it altogether because of its evil and destructive powers. So I'm talking about feedback. I know, this is G-rated, folks. We're not going anywhere else than that. I'm talking about feedback. Feedback is the F-bomb of business relationships. It is the F-bomb of business relationships. And I mean bomb because it will blow things up, whether you use it or you don't. This is what it sounds like. You suck. There, that's what feedback sounds like. I know, I feel better. Got my point across. Do you understand exactly how I'm feeling? You look confused, so I'm going to make up no. Okay. Do you understand exactly the situation that I'm talking about? No. Do you understand the behavior that I'm talking about? No. Do you understand what I would like to be different? No. Okay, so how effective is that? Zero. Yeah, zero. But here's what happens. People deliver that kind of feedback on an ongoing basis, and then, of all the nerve, that person, they keep coming to work every single day, and they do that behavior over and over and over and over as if they didn't even hear what I said. Feedback stimulates growth, and it builds cultural resilience. If you don't have feedback, you don't have resilience. And you have got to be buoyed when in the tough times you got to say something that feels a little uncomfortable to people if you're going to make it through, okay? Invite your team to use it every day, all day. Stick to the model so you can create a common language. People are highly forgiving when other people get it wrong because they know what's trying to be said and they want to look for the nuggets, okay, rather than defend against what's being fired at them. So you need to handle communication at its fundamental level and not just in a piece of paper. It's a living, breathing thing. Make sure you work with it.